Hey everyone, this is Millie Weaver here. I'm just going to wait a minute for people to join the feed. I'm going to be giving you guys an update here very shortly. So let's just wait a minute here while people are all joining on the live stream. And then I'm going to get started. And really, what's happening right now in the election is just insanity. It's insanity. But it was pre-planned insanity. And, you know, I kind of was reporting on a lot of this, and even more so when I did the Kentucky election coverage, I really spelled out how the plan was to steal and rig the election. So that's what we're seeing now, a stolen and rigged election. And this is the scary thing, guys. This is not the first time. Believe me, it's not the first time that America has had rigged, stolen elections. But there was something very special about 2016. But I'm not going to get into it really, but 2016 was different. And that's why President Trump was able to overcome the odds of winning an actual election that they tried to rig. They had it better mapped out and war gamed this time around. They had many things going in their favor. They had COVID-19, which was used as a weapon. We saw that. Okay, but first, yes.
Your connection's not that great. You might want to close some of your pages or something.
All right. So, can everyone hear me okay? Everyone hear me okay? All right. So I'm just going to continue here. All right. So right now I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm in a hotel. The other day I was in the San Francisco Bay Area because I was interviewing a whistleblower, and then I was flown right back out here to Washington, D.C. to have meetings and meet with some of the teams that are heading the election fraud legal teams that are going against this crazy rigged election. So we've been meeting with them, making sure our whistleblowers' information is getting into the right hands, and hoping that people are going to take this serious and actually get things to happen here. So I want to kind of give you guys, especially for those of you who haven't been along with me for the last year or so, I want to give you guys a little bit of a background as to why I know what I know and why I'm in the situation right here where I'm even being invited to come talk with some of the groups here that are heading these efforts, where you see people like Phil Klein and you see people like Sidney Powell and these other people out there heading these movements. Why would they care about what little Millie has to say? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so I've been making these videos for over a year now, talking about the plan that the Democrats and really the establishment has had to throw Trump out of office, to get rid of him. During the Kentucky 2019 election, a whistleblower leaked documents to me that were showing and indicating election fraud in the Kentucky 2019 gubernatorial race, where you had Andy Beshear and you had Bevin running. Bevin was already the governor, and Beshear was the Democrat the Democrat candidate that was coming in to try to steal his seat. And so this is what happened. A whistleblower leaked to me a bunch of documents. We had audit logs, we had voting election machine logs, passwords, we had like tons of receipts, how they write everything out, how they do the vote switching. We had a lot of information pertaining to Seidel, which everyone now talks a lot about Seidel, but we were talking about Seidel in 2019. Instead of Dominion, we had the voting company Hart Intercivic. But if you actually know, it's the same exact machines. They just have different brand names on them. It's like the difference between like some general type, like general wheat O's versus like name brand Cheerios. I mean, it's the same exact thing. It just has a different name on it. And those voting machines, like the Dominion ones, the Hart Intercivic ones and whatnot, those go up and get fed up into the Seidel software systems. And Seidel is based out of Spain, which we had talked about. Why on earth are votes being counted on these servers in Spain, in a foreign country? Isn't that foreign interference? I mean, we heard a lot about foreign interference and the Democrats saying that Trump, you know, that there was Russian meddling and that's why Trump won, because of foreign interference. And all they could do, they spent $40 million and all they could come up with some Russian bot conspiracy theory, which anyone in the know, in the intelligence community knows that you can just use misattribution and you could make it look like bots are coming from any which direction. So it could be somebody sitting in Virginia in some teched out CIA headquarters or something, making bots that look like it's coming from Russia. And then, oh, look, see, we have Russian interference. I mean, it's that simple, guys. I mean, the technology is clearly out there. And we'll talk a little bit more about misattribution and those technologies and what role they play in election interference, because there's a way that people can enter into these election voting machines, make changes, and if you try to route it back, there's going to be misattribution. It's going to be hard to find who was doing it. Okay, so back to Kentucky. After this whistleblower leaked these documents to me, I had sent them to Tori. Many of you guys know Tori. Because I had happened to be on the phone with her while I was checking my inbox, and I wanted her to look over it. I wanted her to clean it just in case there were any like viruses and things like that. I didn't want to get things like that in my computer. And then she gave it back to me cleaned, and then also sent it off to Chuck Grassley. Then soon enough, we start getting contacted by many different groups. We end up getting contacted by like attorney generals and whatnot. And I go down to Kentucky to go hand deliver an SD drive or a USB stick to Governor Bevin himself at his office. So I went down there and I did that. And I also met up with a group called ASOG. So there's this group called Allied Security Operations Group, and they are heading a lot of the election fraud efforts that have been happening. There's a guy named Phil Klein. I'm sure many of you guys have probably seen him. He's been speaking at some of these legislature hearings. And then there's also another guy there called Russ Ramsfield, who, he does a lot of the investigation there as well. But yeah, we met with them and we essentially went over the information. They already had seemed to have gotten it, which means they probably got it from Grassley or something, but I'm just assuming because they didn't have certain pieces of the puzzle and they wanted me to try to give them access to trace it back to who my whistleblower was, but I wasn't going to do that because sources and methods are protected. So there was that. And that's why back in 2019, I was telling you guys and reporting to you guys about this whistleblower, about the documents that were leaked, and about what it indicated and what it showed. And I actually did a video on my YouTube channel that was called Will They Steal the 2020 Election? And that really goes into depth what had happened there. And it shows how you saw these vote flip switches happen, just as we saw the vote switches happen in the Kentucky election, where you have literally votes being taken away from the Republican and given to the Democrat. The same thing we now witnessed here, where votes were taken away from Trump and given to Joe Biden. So now let's fast forward to 2020. Okay. Obviously, during 2020, we have been doing this investigative research project, right? Where we had our source going into these left-wing affinity groups like the Sunrise Movement, Shut Down DC, and others, essentially gathering information, watching their Zoom chats, reading their message boards and being invited to their internal communications and whatnot, so that we could really learn what these groups were up to. And what we found was stunning. It was stunning. It was far beyond what we had anticipated. I mean, we anticipated a little bit of criminality, We anticipated some communist talk, which we did find a lot of, okay? But the stunning thing here was to see the interconnectivity between these left-wing organizations that appear to be separate. So when you look at these BLM and Shut Down DC and Extinction Rebellion and Sunrise Movement and all these other leftist groups, everyone just kind of thinks of them as separate, and that they all just happen to show up at these protests because, you know, hey, we read the flyer or something. No, it is entirely coordinated, beyond organized. The amount of pre-planning and everything they do, like almost OCD product. I mean, it was insane. They plan out everything. Even when you see like those people with the umbrellas they're being assigned to hold the umbrellas to block the police's visual, people with the laser pointers to blind the police officers, people with bicycles to block roadways and block police or block off vehicles. The people that are assigned to be high risk, meaning people that would get arrested, people that would engage in violence with the police or violence in general, those would be assigned. They would have the low risk people would be assigned as well, so that they could have all the appearance of peaceful protesters, so that then the media can say, oh, they're just peaceful protesters. Look at all these peaceful people out there sitting around singing kumbaya and playing a banjo, you know? And it's all intentional. It's all to create media spin. And even they work closely with left-wing media outlets to organize all of this. Okay, so that was amazing just to see all of that organization. It's all pre-planned, even to where they already have the bail fund set up. They already have their ACLU lawyers in place, so that when people get arrested, they immediately get bailed out. They have their judges that are in the pocket, their attorney generals in the pocket. They know which cities they can let these things fly and which cities they don't do these things in. So typically you see these crazy riots and things happening in blue cities. It's because they know where they can get away with it. Okay, and it's not going to fly in some like ultra Republican cities, and they don't try it there. Okay, they know what they can get away with. Very organized, very planned. Now, one of the things also that was very shocking was to see that it's not just these crazy, you know, basement dweller people that are engaging in this, that this is actually high up people that are organizing with these groups and that are helping these groups to plan out their actions. So on sunriseexposed.com, if you guys haven't seen that yet, please go to that website. Let me see if I can get bear with me here. I am in a hotel, so I'm going to see if I don't have my typical switcher here, but I'm going to see if I can show you the screenshot here. Let me see. Share screen. Okay. Let's see. Is it going to work? Share. Let's see. All right. So let's see. Let's see if I can show you guys sunriseexposed.com, because that is key to understanding all of this. Because this is not just a stolen election, as many of you guys may think. It is definitely not just a stolen election. This is a coup. This is a planned insurrection, and you have people inside bureaucratic positions of government working and coordinating with the left-wing radical groups that can engage in violence. So it doesn't look like it's showing it, unfortunately. Yeah. So, but anyway, you guys can go to sunriseexposed.com and you guys can see that for yourself there. We've got tons of evidence. So one of the important videos is where we have the SESs, these senior executive services people who work in government positions, high in power, and bureaucrats, government officials, people that work at DHS, HQ, for CISA, people that work in the FDA, the Department of Energy, the Department of Labor, and people in position of power here plotting with these radical left-wing groups to run a coup action. And the stunning thing here was that all of it was pre-planned around the concept or idea that Trump was going to run a coup and that Trump was going to contest the election results and that they needed to be prepared to enforce that edict upon people. They did not want him contesting. They wanted to ensure that they could bully the Trump donors, the Trump lawyers, all of that, and target their business locations. And the bureaucrats were ready to stop government responses, to slow things down, to hand over the keys to Biden's people. So this is key, okay? They were plotting essentially a subversion. Government officials. Isn't that insane? And why aren't these people in prison? Why aren't they in jail? Why haven't they been arrested? It's insane right now when you have business owners just trying to stay afloat, opening their doors, they're getting arrested immediately. We've had this video up now on the internet. I've handed it off to DHS. I've handed it off to the DC police and other enforcement agencies. I've handed it to them. This has been sent to the FBI. No arrests have been made. None. This is unequal protection of the law. This is that there are certain people that the law just doesn't apply to. And then there are hardworking, good Americans like business owners that want to keep their doors open. The second they do, the iron hand comes smashing down on them. It's unbelievable what's happening right now. Unbelievable. And it rings true to even the highest positions where you see Trump having had a witch hunt against him. You see $30 million that was put into the Russia collusion investigation, yet where's money going into the mountains and mountains of evidence of election meddling, election fraud, election interference that we've been seeing? Where's the money going in? Where is that money? You know, it's all just American people funding it. People have been funding it through directly donating to President Trump. And it's just insane, the double standards here. And the Democrats just want us all to go along with it. And it's not just Democrats. I mean, mostly all of the Democrats, but we also have some rhinos that are going along with it. Many of them have blackmail on them. They're corrupt. They've got dirt on them. We talked about that in Shadowgate. We talked about that with our whistleblower Tory, who used to work for John Brennan, and how John Brennan has his NSA overcollection little secret upload stream that he has to his servers where they collect blackmail on everyone, on politicians. So if there's Republican politicians, Democrat politicians, it doesn't matter. They collect that blackmail and they make sure and ensure that people don't step out of line, which is kind of curious when that one judge, you know, he made that ruling in Georgia to preserve the election machines, you know, and then within like the same day, he overturned his own decision. He's like, oh, never mind. Oh. So it makes you wonder what they might have had on him, you know. The state things are pretty corrupt. There's a lot of corruption right now. So let's talk about what should the plan be going forward, and what do I see happening? Okay, right now, as of now, Sidney Powell's lawsuits and cases that she's been bringing, she brought a case in Georgia and in Michigan. Today, both of those cases were dismissed and struck down. Both of those cases were lost, which I'm not surprised at, because when our AFL-CIO whistleblowers leaked documents to us of a PowerPoint where everything was pre-planned, showing how they had pre-planned and thought out the entire process the Democrats had for how to steal the election and what to do. They pre-planned out even the responses that Trump and his team would have. Okay, these are very intelligent people, and not only that, they're using predictive modeling software that is used to overthrow foreign countries. These are members of our own intelligence community and military contractors that overthrow other countries and rig elections in foreign countries and nations. And they have done this now on our own nation. that's what we're dealing with right now. So these people are very smart. They've pre-planned using their algorithms what Trump's team is going to do and what the best options for them are to do. And so we're just watching it all play out. It's insane. We're just literally watching it all play out. And I'm just going to say, you know, right after the election happened and the stealing and everything, and I had my followers and whatnot, I was invited by some people affiliated with Trump's team and the lawyers out here that have been doing, you know, a pretty darn good job. I mean, they have been, they've been the only people really spearheading all this evidence. We were invited out to DC. We came out to DC. We were here in DC for weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. It was insane how long we were here, but it was very frustrating because it seemed like there were a lot of barriers. There were even gatekeepers. At some point, I felt like we were just spinning our wheels. Like, is anyone going to do anything with this information? We were trying to convey the message to them for the longest time. Hey, you guys are walking into the trap, the pre-planned out trap that the Democrats have planned out and set for you. They expect you to go to the courts. They expect you to try to go to the legislature, and they know that those odds work in their favor. So now when you see Sidney Powell's lawsuits all being just thrown out, it's because that's what was going to happen, and the Democrats already pre-planned it. They knew it was going to happen. I mean, think about it. The system is not set up for this large-scale, systemic voter fraud. It's just not. It's like usually there's a little bit of discrepancies here, a little bit there, but this wide-scale operation in several states, and you have teams of lawyers, like a handful of lawyers, collecting all of this information. They just didn't get it to these judges and these courts in time. They didn't, and you could read the judges' responses here. I'll read some of it. They weren't able to get some of the stuff in time, and also what they were even asking the judges to do. The judges said they can't even do that. It's not even in their power. Yeah. It says, plaintiffs did not avail themselves of the remedies established by the Michigan legislature. The deadline for them to do so has passed, the judge said. Any avenue for this court to provide meaningful relief has been foreclosed. So, I mean, this is what we're dealing with. The Democrats can spend 2 years plotting out that they're going to steal and rig this election, but Trump's team only has a matter of a couple weeks to be able to formulate their defense and get those to courts and to the legislature. It's insane. It's not fair. It's corrupt. And the amount of criminality that we've witnessed and we've seen with these whistleblowers, and even more that's behind the scenes that hasn't come forward yet. I really, truly believe that the only way around this is for Trump to do the Insurrection Act. Trump needs to do the Insurrection Act before it's too late. Because this is the thing. This is not just a rigged election. This is a coup. This is an overthrow. The American people won back their government in 2016. We didn't have our government before that. Okay? The election with Obama and everything else, even before that, was rigged and pre-planned, pre-selected. And so somehow the algorithm was broken in 2016. There were a handful of people that may or may not have been responsible for sabotaging the steal of the 2016 election that was illegally, pre-planned. But I'm not going to get too much into that. That'll come out later through whistleblower testimony. But what happened now in 2020 with this steal, it's been being watched. There is a group of people that have been watching and monitoring, and there may or may not already be criminal investigations. So I'll just leave that at that. But I really do believe that the criminality here is so immense and it goes so far beyond just rigging of elections that Trump needs to do the Insurrection Act. And here's another reason why. We've talked a lot about Facebook, and I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of people talking about how Facebook has played a major role in this election rigging. This is a coup. This is an insurrection. Facebook has been putting up all these fact checks where they're saying AP has called the election for Joe Biden, and the election fraud, this has been disputed, or this is a hoax. And they just try to fact check everything. They try to use their algorithms to stomp out political dissidents. They ban people, put people in jail. There were some whistleblowers in Arizona that were holding rallies, and they immediately got their pages banned. They weren't even live streaming the rallies from their pages. It was like Facebook just hunted them down and deleted their Facebook pages. It's that bad. And they didn't even have political pages. They were just American citizens trying to do something about what they had seen, the corruption that they had seen. So Facebook partnered up with the Atlantic Council. The Atlantic Council has owners in it like General Jones and military industrial complex generals, big money guys. And these are the same contractors, the same generals that helped develop ShadowNet. Now, we talked about this a lot in Shadowgate. If you guys haven't seen Shadowgate, please watch it. It's very important that you watch that movie. It's going to spell out a lot of what we've been seeing here, because this is the power contract. This is the swamp, the deep state that has been in power for a very long time in our own government, that is now taking it back from the American people. It is a coup. It is an insurrection. It is an overthrow of power. They are taking it back. The American people should have never been allowed to have had their vote heard. These people believe that the American people are too stupid to be allowed to select their own presidents. These are the military industrial complex generals and the intelligence community that wants for you. Okay? So watch Shadowgate. It spells it all out. Watch Shadowgate 2. Now, some of you guys, I guess Shadowgate 2 didn't get quite as much media exposure as Shadowgate 1 did, but Shadowgate 2 is very important as well, because in Shadowgate 2, which is up on my website, millennialmillie.com, spell it all free to watch, by the way. I'm not selling any of this information. It's out there free for the public. The reason I'm putting it on my website is because YouTube, all that, has been banning the Shadowgate films. When Shadowgate was originally posted, Tori posted it on her YouTube channel because I was arrested and thrown in jail. So that got banned off of YouTube after it had reached over 3 million views in a matter of hours. And it got banned off of subsequently like every other social media channel, including it's been banned off of Parler. It's even been, as many of you know, it was banned off of banned.video, which is ironic. So that's the reason I'm putting it up on my own website, is because it's just there for you, and it's not going to be banned from my own website, unless my own website gets banned, which who knows if it gets to that point. So Shadowgate 2 really spells out the role that the fake news industrial complex plays in all this. And it really spelled out how many of the people working at Fox News are intelligence assets, working at CNN, intelligence assets. Many of these journalists, you think they're journalists, but they're actually intelligence assets. It's insane. Since I've been actually out here in the swamp in DC, I have been invited to some parties, let's just say, and I've been around some of these people. And the shocking thing here is that most of them talk like me, or they talk like Alex Jones or conspiracy theories, right? They talk like that in private at their dinner parties. But then they say, when you say, hey, why aren't you reporting on this stuff? This is very important. They go, oh, well, I don't want to be targeted. There's a lot of people that have reported on stuff, and then we get targeted, we get retaliated against, bad things happen to us. So it's not that Fox News or some of these people don't know about the things that are happening. It's that they just choose to not report it because they like the comfortability of their cush jobs with their nice paychecks. It's that simple. You guys know I don't work for any of the media outlets. I work for you. That's who I work for. You guys. And if you guys like what I'm doing, you'll support me. And I know a lot of you guys have been supporting me. That's wonderful. We need all the support we can get right now. And, you know, I like to give you guys something back when you support me and my work and my team. So on my website, we sell hats and shirts and signed autographed posters and stickers and, you know, fun things like that. So if you want to support me, go to my website and make a purchase, or you could even just hit the donate button right now because, you know, these trips are expensive. They rack up a bill, you know, and a lot of money. So your help means everything to me right now because what we're trying to do is so important for our kids, for our futures. And that's really why I'm out here. Trust me, I would much rather be at home with my children, decorating the Christmas tree, getting ready to enjoy the holidays. But unfortunately, the election has been stolen. Democracy has been undermined. There's a coup going on right now against our sitting president of the United States. The deep state wants their control back, and they're going to do anything they can to try to get it. So the only thing we can do is we can resist it. We can expose them. We have to be able to get the narrative out there to counter the fake news mainstream media's narrative out there where they just want everyone to just roll over and accept the edict of these corrupt people that think that they are the ruling elite and that the masses need to just do what they want them to do. So we're going to resist. And I'm proud of many patriots out there that have been participating in these rallies, participating and showing up, making sure that your voice is heard, that our president is supported, because President Donald Trump has been very brave. He gave up his cush life as a billionaire to come out here and to be our president, to go against the media establishment, to go against these people who want to just control us like cattle. And he's gotten hell for it. He's been punished for it. And you think that if some people say, oh, well, there will be just Trump 2024. Don't worry, it's fine. Just try again next time, Trump 2024. There's not going to be a Trump 2024. It's not going to happen. They're not going to let it happen. His family will go the way of JFK's family. That's what's going to happen. Because that is what happens when you cross the swamp, cross the deep state. That's what happened. You guys already saw how I was retaliated against, right? And the way they thrive on power, they thrive on people being isolated, on just one lone person here, one lone person there, one lone person there. If we all stand up, I know this sounds like The Bug's Life, that movie, but if we all stand up, they really don't know what the hell to do. It terrifies them. What they want more than anything is easily controllable masses. And they beta tested that with this whole coronavirus thing, which I'm not going to get too much into because that's going to be the first thing to get me banned. But you guys all know it. You all know it. We all know that this was manipulation, that this was culling, it was programming. How well are the masses just going to go along with what we tell them to do, despite common sense? Will they let us stop their ability to make money? Will they let us destroy their source of income? Will they let us put their kids out of school? Will they let us, ban them from social activities? Will they let us ban and stop Thanksgiving? I mean, what will they let us do? What can we get away with in the name of fear mongering? And so that powerful weapon is now coming right back around. Oh no, we need to shut down again. Gavin Newsom says so, but he's obviously so concerned. That's why he's sitting at the table with a bunch of his friends, drinking, enjoying himself, with not a concern in the world about catching the unnamed virus. Okay, these people are not concerned at all. Okay, it's a control system. Control system. So anyway, guys, I'm going to be keeping you guys updated with more information as it comes. I guess one of the new things to talk about, other than the fact that these cases were dismissed, I touched on that the real thing here is the Insurrection Act. And the reason why is because all of this was pre-planned, and now Trump's lawyers and legal team are literally walking into the pre-laid out plan. And how the Sunrise Movement, these leftist affinity groups who are working with bureaucrats, department, state people, senior executive services members, our government, the stay behind basically that Obama left. I mean, they're working with AOC, they're working with Chuck Schumer, have her in our Zoom chats. I mean, we have communications with them and Chuck Schumer. They're working with the Biden campaign beforehand. These groups are also being funded and directly supported by the AFL-CIO, the major federation of unions, which inside that major federation of unions is the American Postal Workers Unions, the teachers unions, many of these unions. And the AFL-CIO and these unions, they all pre-planned out that this election season, because of COVID-19, they said, oh, we need to focus all of our efforts instead of door knocking and canvassing because, you know, social distancing. We need to focus instead all of our efforts into making sure that our union members fill the precincts. We want our people to be the poll workers because we need more precincts. We need more voting locations. All right. So they created all these pockets of more voting locations because of social distancing, right? They filled all these precincts with their union workers and paid them to do so. And then GOP people panic. You hear about all this, like the GOP having shortages for their observers because they needed even more now to be working these different locations. And the Democrats were all prepared for this. This was all their plan. They fully thought this thing out. And even when there were the GOP poll observers there, but most of them were thrown out of the building. You had these agitators, these left-wing Democrats who were there to be like, you're bioterrorists, you're mask slipped, get out of here, you're kicked out. You have to stand 30 feet away so you can't actually see what we're doing because the virus. It was insane. And you know, all the votes tonight, Trump winning, all the swing states, he's got a good, cushiony margin of votes there. It's like, he's got this. We all knew, we were all like, yeah, he's got this. But see, those of us that know how this feeling happens, we're like, okay, let's watch and wait. Let's see it happen. And even President Trump called it out in his speech that night where he said, oh, we won, but you just wait and see what's going to happen. This is going to be, you know, watch all these votes trickle in at the middle of the night. And they did. Joe Biden got like, you know, 138,000 or 134,000. No, it was 138,000 votes. Boom, out of nowhere, just to him. None to Joe Jurgensen, none to Trump, none to that other guy, Howie. Just to Joe Biden, because that's normal. And, you know, we can have all the statisticians, all the people analyzing the data in the world, point out all the irregularities, point out how it's all bogus. But the Democrats know the time is working for them. They know how the judges say, oh, sorry, you didn't get enough to us in time, or sorry, we don't have the power. Many of the people in the legislature, we're seeing now that some of these legislature members may have actually been in the polling centers themselves stuffing ballots on video. So it's like, no wonder some of these legislators are just ignoring it and acting and brushing off and acting like, oh, there's no evidence, there's nothing to see here. When literally Rudy Giuliani has massive folders full of evidence lined up on the table. He's got like, I have so much evidence and whistleblowers and affidavits under penalty of perjury here. You know, it would take a long time to go through. They've got mountains and stacks of evidence, yet mainstream media says there's no evidence. There's none. And our fact checkers say it. No evidence. And, you know, I can't imagine how longer I'm even going to be on any of these social media channels. I'll be here as long as I can, as long as I'm allowed to, because I need to reach you guys. I need to get this information out to people. But the censorship is really kicking into high gear. It's really kicking into high gear. So if I ever do get banned, you guys know that you can find me at my website, millennialmillie.com. So if you can't find me on any of these social media platforms anymore, there's the website. That's the next thing. Yeah, I mean, it's getting pretty bad, guys. It's getting pretty bad. I would say Trump needs, like I said, do the Insurrection Act, arrest these criminals, arrest the people that we already have evidence of, like those who work in the SESs, those who work in the bureaucratic positions of government that we even have on video admitting to crimes in our Sunrise Exposed videos that it's on the website, Sunrise Exposed. Literal people in our government admitting to crimes, admitting to plotting an insurrection, to plotting subversion, orchestrating this with these leftist groups that go out there and burn down buildings, that engage in violent terrorism and extremism. That is serious. And not only do we have that, I've not been touching on the Patrick Berge aspect, where we had Patrick Berge on for Shadowgate. He talked a lot about the military-industrial complex. He talked about the creation of ShadowNet and how the military-industrial complex created ShadowNet, which is a psychological warfare application that was designed and created to run psychological warfare, psyops, on our enemies. People like in Afghanistan, people in foreign countries, those who want to like bomb people, blow people up, or go blow themselves up. This was meant to target enemies in a warfare zone. Then these corrupt people like General Jones, they decided to privatize it, making millions and millions of dollars off of it, putting it into the commercial sector, and selling it to other companies and other people and Democrats and even some people on the right wing, so that then they could deploy it on our own social media companies, on our own social media networks. This was a weapon that was being deployed on foreign social media. Now it's being deployed on American social media platforms targeting Americans. Do you remember when Facebook used to just be about family and friends? Do you remember that? When it was like you go on there and you meet up with your old high school acquaintances, or you oh look, that was so and so from grade school. Oh wow, look at my cousin's baby, or that's what they all lured us into. They all lured us into. And Facebook was not just some company created by Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, it was not. The intelligence community was fully there in the foundation and creation of that entire thing. So they lured us all there, and then they cranked it on. They turned on the psychological warfare applications, and lo and behold, it very quickly changed into a politically volatile atmosphere, didn't it? And then there were those who tried to hack the system and use it to disseminate truth, disseminate real information to the people. But it's just the whole thing has been getting out of control. And now it's only getting to the point where they've fully they've chiseled their tools, they've fine-tuned everything and the algorithms, and now they fully know how to suppress us all. They fully know how to suppress information. They know how to censor with their algorithms. Even after the other day, I did a live stream on around election night, and it got like 25,000 viewers live just on YouTube, which was pretty amazing. And after that, AP did a hit piece on me, and their hit piece was extremely authoritarian. I mean, it read like something out of Big Brother, 1984. It was just the creepiest thing how they're talking about, oh, we need to figure out a way to sorry, it wasn't AP, it was NPR that they hit piece on me. They said, oh, we need to figure out a way to ban live streaming capabilities for conservative people like Millie Weaver, for example, because, she's getting a lot of viewers on there, and she's able to live time disseminate fake news. That's what they said. And that we can't stop her. It circumvents our algorithms. We can't stifle her content and make sure that her own viewers don't even see it in their feeds. What are we going to do? And then they talk about punishing people like me by removing our live streaming capabilities or suspending our live streaming. And they have, like, they talk about how they have a whole bunch of researchers and investigators literally all studying me, I guess, and my live streaming, and how, you know, how this fake news phenomenon and how they're getting around the algorithms, they're getting around our censorship with live streaming. Okay, it's very creepy. Someone said this is where content moderation frontier. Okay, so this is where the content moderation frontier is right now, said Renee DiResta, a misinformation researcher at Stanford's Internet Observatory. So they literally have researchers and like think tanks sitting around trying to figure out, what do we do about Millie Weaver and her live streaming capabilities, and why is she getting a big audience, and telling people, look at the election fraud that's going around on the internet. That's all I was doing, showing people the videos that you, many others, were putting up evidencing election fraud, like people videotaping trucks suspiciously outside voting centers and things being loaded off, or people videotaping people hiding ballots under tables, or, you know, just random things like that as they came on social media. And we were just analyzing. I was analyzing the information with my audience and saying, look at this, let's look at that. Well, what do you know, does this seem real? Does this seem legit? You know, it does look, and just analyzing that information. And God forbid anyone do that, right? God forbid anyone be not controlled and actually able to reach the masses. That's what they're terrified of. So that's what it makes me think, that they're probably not going to let me continue on this way for much longer. You know, YouTube has completely demonetized my YouTube channel. Completely. They said harmful content. That's what they classified my channel as, to demonetize it. And they didn't even specify what video or what on there was harmful at all. And they just demonetized it. And this is the messed up part, okay? They're still running ads on my videos. So they demonetized my channel, meaning I literally don't collect a penny. I don't collect a cent from them, from YouTube, for revenue or any of that. Yet they're still running ads on my videos, and they're making money off of my content. And to whom that money is going, I don't know. I mean, it's probably just going to YouTube. Probably. But I think that's pretty unethical, wouldn't you say? It's pretty unethical. I need a charger for this computer. He's going to help me with that. But anyway, that's just the current state of the censorship that's going on with social media. And it's no wonder that, you know, they're using these psychological warfare applications on social media, and they don't want people destroying that and pulling the curtain open and saying, look, here's the man behind the curtain. You know, they can't have that, because then the fun show's over. See, they want people fighting with each other. They want us all at each other's throats. They want family members fighting against family members. And that's what they have. That's what they have. They want this division, and they want absolute control. Because, you know, it allows them to control the situation when you have a divided America. They can control the narrative. They'll censor. You have people that are so tribal mindset, like it's like a football team, that many of these Democrats are just ignoring. And when I'm saying Democrats, I mean like just random people, like even some of my family members, even that have fallen victim to this and the brainwashing. They don't even want to look. They just, no, you guys are all, you know, sore losers. And it's like, you guys won't even look at the fact that there's literally like video evidence of election fraud and election meddling. This is how they stole it from Bernie Sanders. They've been stealing elections for a very long time, and it's not just on the Republican side that they're stealing it. They pick and choose. The Democrats had their votes stolen. They voted for Bernie Sanders both in 2016 and even the 2020 election, they had voted for Bernie both times. But one time they got Hillary and one time they got Biden because they got what was pre-selected for them. We don't have free and fair elections with that. That's not okay. There's a serious problem here. The deep state has control. And what did they justify in developing all the software and all the capabilities for rigging and stealing and hacking elections? Oh, so that we can do it in foreign countries. Been doing it in foreign countries. They have been doing it in foreign countries. And they have the ability to do it here. So anyway, I'm just rambling on here. Sorry, guys. But I wanted to just give you guys that little update. I'm sure we're going to be having a lot more meetings while I'm out here in D.C. I know that there is a rally coming up here in Washington, D.C. on the 12th. It's a massive Trump rally. It's the end of that large Trump rally that's touring across the United States. It's making several stops, and the final stop is going to be in Washington, D.C. on the 12th. I might be going to that. We will see. But if you guys can make it out to that, that would be awesome. Anyway, thank you guys all for supporting, and I commend those of you guys who are taking action and getting out there and letting your voices be heard. And those of you guys who are volunteering, you're taking your energy towards trying to take back our country. So thank you guys. This is Millie Weaver, signing off.